Welcome to the Cash Cab Podcast, where we talk about everything business, including the mentality and practicality of the side hustle. Here are your hosts, Tyler Martin and Matt Bitter.
I don't even know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, well, we always talk about good stuff anyway. So.
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, first thing that pops into my mind is crypto right now. It's just kind of level.
Yeah. Hasn't done much in the last little bit.
Yeah. If it goes off of its 4-year cycle next January, it should go crazy. So right now it's kind of a good...
So 2023, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now would be a good accumulation time. They do tax it significantly.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily it specifically, but gains as capital gains. Yeah.
Short term, long term.
Yeah.
That's some things I've learned recently. If you hold it more than a year, but I guess that's the same with real estate, correct? Mm-hmm. Hold it more than a year, it's long term capital gains. Less than a year, short term capital gains.
Yeah, and that's if you're flipping it. Okay. Like there's kind of some other, things in there. Like if it's your primary residence and you hold it for 2 years, then it's tax free, which is incredible.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you live in a house for 2 years and sell it after that, so it's 2 out of the last 5 years. So you could even rent somewhere else while you're, still have that as a primary residence or what. Not necessarily. You do have to live in it for 2 years. Yeah. But then say you move out and you're living somewhere else for a little bit, you decide to sell the house. Then 2 out of the last 5 years. Then it's totally tax free.
And you can do that every 5 years?
I think you can do it every 2 years if you want to.
Oh, okay.
I think, if you were able to do that. But it's an incredible thing. Like I'm almost looking at it with my kids. It's like okay, when you're 18, you're going to find a house to fix up and sell, when you're 20, and then maybe have a guest house or something for them to move into. Yeah. Or an apartment or a townhome or something, and while they're building another house or finding another house to purchase. Yeah. And then say you did that every 2 years between the time of 18 and 30, or even every 3 or 4 years. By the time you're 30, you could have a very nice house paid for. Yeah. Because you're able to pocket all that money without any tax complications, Yeah. That's a big deal. Yeah. So it's kind of a cool thing I don't know.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Just learning taxes and I don't even know how to word it because they're not loopholes. We've talked about that before. Mm-hmm. Learning the tax code. Yep. Huge leg up. Once it's one thing to, and we talk about it all the time, starting a business and getting it running and getting it cash flowing. These are very important things. But once you're running, it's really important to be able to keep all of it. Yeah. And knowing the tax code and the advantages in order to grow. And the more that you learn and the more that you grow, the more people you get to employ. And then you get to raise their salary, and it's just better for the whole world.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the word loopholes or even like a tax write-off. Yeah. Like, because it's not. Like, the government didn't set it up to be a loop. Maybe they did. I mean, who knows? Yeah. Those freaking guys, Yeah. They probably did. But the government knows what's going to grow the economy. And the growth in the economy comes from reinvestment. Yeah. So, you start a business, you make some money, you add some value to the world in some way, and you make a profit on that. Yeah. Well, if you just consume it on yourself, obviously that still builds the economy somewhat. There's still some velocity of money going there. But the government knows, hey, well, if we can incentivize him to reinvest that in equipment or reinvest that in other things, then that's going to continually, reinvestment in small businesses grows that small business, but it also grows the economy as a whole. Yeah. And so it's an incentive. It's not necessarily a loophole or a write-off that a lot of people kind of act like it's a shady thing. Like, it's an incentive that the government is, so it isn't. So, and I guess that I would say there's even a little bit of a difference there. There is incentives. I wouldn't necessarily say that buying a bunch of equipment is an incentive. It's just an investment and expense in a business.
Yeah.
You know, that way too. Yeah.
Yeah.
People look at guys that maybe buy a new pickup every year or whatever, like, oh, well, they're just doing it to, you know, a loophole for taxes.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's value in having a new pickup every year. Like, you know, that you're using that as a piece of equipment in the business to haul around people or equipment or whatever.
You're using that as an asset, and the person who wants to either save a little bit of money or couldn't afford a new one now gets to have an almost new vehicle when you sell it again the next year. And it just moves the entire economy. Just knowing the taxes. So we were going to donate some. We got some protein powders and some different supplements that are like 3 or 4 months from expiring. And we were going to donate them. And we were figuring either to a 501c3 or to a school. And the person that we were donating them to, they asked us, they're like, which one do you want to donate it to? Well, I wasn't really sure. So we asked our accountant, and he said, in Idaho, donate it to a school because there's extra tax advantage when you donate to a school instead of a 501c3. So like it's just little tiny things like that from a tax standpoint. You go, okay. And to the people that we're donating it to, they're both, so they don't really care.
Yeah.
But then from our standpoint, it does matter. You know, you get an extra Idaho tax advantage giving it to a school.
And people probably like, oh, we'll see, like there's, you know, like extra stuff for donating it to a school or whatever. Well, yeah, the government is trying to incentivize people to donate stuff to schools to increase the education. Like I like looking at it as an incentive system, really.
Yeah, I agree. And on the most basic part of all of it, someone's donating something to someone. Yeah. You know, that's cool. I mean, I'm not trying. Okay. Yeah. I'm so cool.
We all should be. We all should be. That's giving back.
Yeah. It's just
we all should
back.
be doing it. That's a success principle.
Yeah. And from a business standpoint, that product is going to just expire, and we're going to have to throw it away anyways. So the world goes round and round when you're thinking, how can we help each other?
Well, and you hear too, like the vilifying of Donald Trump or whatever, like, oh, he didn't pay taxes. And you remember that Hillary Clinton exchange where she's like, he didn't pay taxes and blah, 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 blah. And he says, yeah, because I'm smart. And I think a lot of people took that as being, you know, elitist or whatever, maybe kind of smug. And Donald Trump probably meant it that way too,
probably.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But he, like in kind of my thinking, it went to, yeah, he is smart. He reinvested so much money that he didn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
That's what it is it's a reinvestment of that money. So, I mean, yeah, of course that's smart. Instead of consuming it, if you consume that money, like here's an interesting thing I was thinking about the other day. So say you have a business and you made $500,000 of cash or whatever. Yeah. And this is, maybe some accountants out there are going to be like, this is a wacky way of looking at it and not right. I don't know. This is just from kind of my, 10,000 foot view or whatever. But so say you were like, okay, I'm going to take $100,000 of that and I'm going to keep it and I'm going to build a house with it. Yeah. Or use it to build a house. I know you can't build a house for $100,000, but okay, so you take that as personal income to build your personal house. Well, that $100,000 is going to cost you $130,000 maybe, if you're in the 30% tax bracket, right? Yeah. You're going to have to pay 30% tax on that $100,000. Well, say you take it and you say, well, I need a pickup or a piece of equipment to do business in. Okay, well, now it's a business expense. Mm-hmm. You actually get a 30%. You're not paying the 30% on that. And so it's almost like you're getting a 30% discount on that pickup. Yeah. Right? Because you're not paying the 30% tax. So that would be $70,000. Yeah. So by taking it, there's a $60,000 gap there for taking it as personal use versus using it in business use. And there again, maybe that's wacky and people are like, no, that's not how it works. But in doing some, when you're thinking about business taxes and stuff, like there's some ways to look at it like that, I guess.
That might also move you down into a lesser tax bracket.
Right.
So, I mean, there might be even more there. And as I don't know, maybe I'm just too worried about what people, might think. But the truth is, anybody who is trying to get into small business, which is running the entire economy, like, yeah, Amazon's cool and the big company like Walmart, like, good job that they made it there. But the truth, they don't run the economy. It's the small businesses that run the economy. And if the small businesses are running the economy, I would implore people to go out and try and do it. And once you start paying massive amounts of taxes, you'll quickly learn that you need to learn the tax code.
Yeah.
Like, it is how it is. And those big companies that get vilified, and they're like, well, big corporations don't pay taxes. Well, one, because they've learned how to not pay taxes is why they're so big. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to get out and start a business and make some money. It's a lot harder to keep a hold of it.
Yeah.
So taxes are, they're a big one.
And if there again, it's an incentive system. If you choose to reinvest that money into certain assets and products and things that are going to stimulate the economy, there's an incentive there.
Yeah.
If you choose to take it and consume it personally, buying a motorbike or a house or whatever, then there's consequences. It's just interesting. So looking at like a company that pays zero taxes versus a company that pays a lot of taxes, well, the company that pays zero taxes is probably reinvesting that versus consuming it, as far as the ownership goes and stuff. Like, it's just an interesting, everything's about perception,
Sure.
If you want to look at the perception that people are trying to get around paying taxes or whatever, then that's okay, I guess, and that's your perception, but you're not ever going to appreciate the value that there is there in taking advantage of those things either. You know?
And if that's the truth, then and if that's what people think, then if you buy a Tesla or an electric vehicle and they give you a tax incentive, you should give that back.
yeah, right.
So, that's the thing.
And it was subsidized to begin with, too, the production of Teslas, right? So I think it's like triple whammied.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that there's this fight against Elon Musk right now from the government because they made him.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah, and still does. I think it's still heavily subsidized,
probably.
Right?
So there is, I wish I remembered the name, but there is a disinformation sector of the federal government that's getting created right now.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm sure that they're really in tune with what the disinformation is.
That is so nuts to me because now you have a government that's going to tell you what's right and wrong. They already do, but now it's legal.
Yeah.
Or illegal. So you could
sounds
say
like some movies I know.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Like you think about Hunger Games, 1984.
Isn't that great? Yeah. The thing is, you should be able to say what you want to say, whether it's right or wrong.
Yep.
The earth is flat. And people are like, what? The earth is flat? No, you're an idiot. Okay, then call me an idiot. And the earth is probably round. But I should be able to say what I want to say.
Absolutely.
But not now.
Well, and we talked about that before where they're all crazy. I was going to say crazy lady, but they're all crazy on The View.
Joy Behar?
The one that was talking about the Holocaust. Was that Joy?
Or was it Whoopi Goldberg?
Oh, it was Whoopi?
Yeah.
How she got banned or whatever. I don't agree with her probably on a fraction of a % of the views that she has, but she should not be banned.
No.
Like, she should be able to say whatever she wants. And then people should also be able to say, no, she's an idiot. Look at this. Like, this is exactly what that was about. And da-da-da-da-da-da. And that's how you have a conversation.
Yeah.
Is somebody going back and forth and saying, this is what I think. Oh, well, that's wrong. Like, let me show you some stuff. And then you come to a conclusion at the end. And instead we silence people to the point where it's like, we don't ever learn any other viewpoint because we're just like, no, I'm right and you're wrong and you're an idiot and I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say and turn your Twitter feed off.
Yeah. Honestly, that's why I bring up Flat Earth a lot, is because everyone knows that the Earth is round. So as soon as you say something that's pretty off from what you've learned your entire life, you're kind of instantly labeled as some crazy conspiracy theorist. But has anyone actually stepped back and thought, is it possible that the earth is flat? No one steps back and thinks that, and then they think you're a kook if you think it, because we're not taught to think.
Yeah, and reason, and question.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's obviously just an extreme example, because what have we always learned? And we've seen pictures from space, and we've seen this, and we've seen that. But it's very different if Donald Trump hops on Twitter and says something that he thinks or believes, and then gets censored. You're like, wait, have we ever even been allowed to step back and think? And that's why Elon Musk buying Twitter, which I still don't understand, how you can kind of take a publicly held company and turn it private.
As he said he's going to do that now. I mean, I know he said that it needed to be publicly run so that it could be run correctly, but I didn't know if he had said that he's going to.
Private company. So it won't be publicly held anymore, which is weird to me. Like, do they give your money back? I don't know.
Well, I'm sure they would have to buy out all of the shareholders at a whatever certain price, but it is kind of weird that maybe the minority, if you're a minority shareholder, which what most people are,
for sure.
I mean, he's going to be the majority shareholder. Maybe he just automatically gets to say, I'm the majority, I vote that we're doing that. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean, he became the majority shareholder at 9%. So,
Well, and I mean, if you get over 51% now, are you able to say, okay, I'm buying everybody out, you're all done? Or I don't know.
I'm not sure how that works. So that's why we talk about small business, cash cap sort of stuff, because, once you get that big, I don't know anymore.
But that's the thing about learning all this, even our tax example and stuff. I was talking to a friend this morning, and he was talking about his son's a senior in high school getting ready to graduate, and we were kind of talking about the education system and how it's, there's some flaws there, obviously.
For sure.
But his son is in a business class right now, and had a question the other day, and this teacher wouldn't, for whatever reason, just wouldn't allow him to ask his question. Like, hey, I don't have time for your question right now, and then just kind of ignored it to the point where there wasn't any time left in class and she left or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, his question was, what's the difference between a 401k and a Roth IRA?
Yeah.
Which in a business class is a very pertinent question.
Absolutely.
Like, this is basic stuff, and even the tax stuff that we're talking about. I mean, we're talking about tax stuff that we don't understand, and that we're learning as we're going. Well, there's some problems there. Number one, the tax code is so comprehensive and confusing that any Joe Schmo can't understand. They have to go get a professional person that studies it all the time to do their stuff for them.
Yeah.
And number two, it's just we're not taught that. That tax code, the 401k, Roth IRA, investments, basic business. I mean, we should be taught that. And here he's in a business class in high school, and they're not even. That's a pretty basic question. His
teacher didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know,
and wasn't willing to say, I don't know. Let's look this up.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, is not knowing everything, but saying, here's some places you can go. Let's go on the IRS website. Let's look it up. Let's go find some articles somewhere from reputable sources that kind of describe what the differences are, and educate those people on where they can go to find the answers to these things. But, we have an education system where I doubt that teacher has any business experience.
For sure.
And yet they're teaching business.
Yeah.
And even at the college levels, like I know when I was going to college, I had some great teachers, but I went with a business degree, an agricultural business degree. I know for a fact that a lot of those people did not have any business experience that were teaching us business at a university.
That's why I dropped out.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally had a college professor that said, you guys are all probably wondering why I'm a college professor here when I'm teaching an entrepreneurial class. Why shouldn't I be an entrepreneur? Well, here's 4 businesses that I went and failed at. And now it was cool that he told us that. Like he even said, he's like, I can tell you what not to do in business because I've done it 4 times. I've started them and I've failed 4 times. Then I went and got my master's degree so I could teach. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, that was really cool that you were so honest, but I'm going to go figure this out on my own. And look at the most successful people in the world. Yes, many have degrees. The most successful people in the world, they don't have degrees.
They dropped out. Yeah.
They dropped out.
But what your teacher should have done is just started 2 or 3 more businesses.
Yeah.
Because if you've already got 4 wrong,
I know.
you know, and not to, I mean, I failed at, had businesses fail too, but okay, you got 4 wrong, you have all that experience of what not to do.
Yep.
You have better odds of succeeding on your 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Absolutely.
Than you do, you know. It's kind of that picture of the guy mining diamonds, and you like almost one guy almost gets to the end and then quits. He's like walking away with his pick. Have you seen that? It's like a cartoon. Yeah. And then the other guy just keeps going. He just should have kept on going.
Well,
he was probably really close.
There's the real story of it. There's the story 3 Feet from Gold. So there's this guy, and I think this is in Think and Grow Rich. There's a guy that goes out, he wants to become a miner. So he goes out, he gets a loan from several different family members. He goes to California, he starts mining, finds some gold. Hey, this is great. The gold runs out. Like, he found a vein. The vein runs out. So then he goes and he continues just mining, and no gold. Finally stops, takes all of his equipment, goes to the local, like, equivalent of a pawn shop back in the day, sells all of his equipment. The guy who buys it has been waiting for the opportunity to get into mining but couldn't buy all the equipment. So he gets all this stuff, takes like a geologist or someone that really knew, takes him out. He looks at where the vein of gold was. He looks at where he stopped getting gold. And he said, you know what? That vein of gold restarts. It starts just, I don't know how far, but it starts. He gets 3 feet in and finds one of the largest gold mines in California.
Wow.
The guy who got 3 feet from gold, found out about it, became a life insurance salesman, and became one of the most successful life insurance salesmen that existed back in the day. And his whole thing was, I was 3 feet from gold, and I didn't keep going. So every time someone would tell me no on life insurance, I would think, I'm 3 feet from gold. Now, I don't know if stories like that are actually true, but they're cool.
Yeah.
So,
and there's some truth there.
Yes,
Whether they're totally true or not, there's absolutely truth there.
Yeah.
You know, it is cool.
You
have to keep going.
Failure's going to happen. It's just going to happen, and that's what life is all about. Like, we will fail, and I'll fail today, and I'll fail tomorrow, and I can either just give up, or I can keep going and learn from those failures.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sucks to fail. Like, it really does.
Yeah.
In the moment.
Yeah.
And then later on, you're like, oh, I'm not sure if you and I talked about it on a podcast or just outside of here, but really bad things happen to people. And once it's over, they're like, oh, I didn't know I could make it through that.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's a divorce or a death of a child, or, you know, we get through stuff. We're very resilient. It's just in the moment it feels so bad. But then you get through it and it's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, or even losing a job or whatever.
Yeah.
And even small failures. Like, I fail every day.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's things every day that I forget or didn't go the way that I thought or did something wrong or whatever. And I think being an entrepreneur, you just get used to it over time.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, I mean, obviously there's big failures that are a lot worse than small failures. And there's failures that come along and can really kind of derail you for a little bit, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too, you know, even looking at the small, like daily, you know, like I notice failures daily, but you look back, you just keep moving forward over a year's time, and you look back at what progress has been made in a year. Even though there were small failures along the way, there was also some successes. Yeah. It's incredible what you can do in a year.
Yeah.
It really is. Even failing. Like, I think people think, oh, well, that guy made it because he got everything exactly right and perfect every step along the way. No, I guarantee you, he didn't. It was probably 5% right.
Yeah.
But he just kept going, and that's guaranteed. That's how some of, most of the stuff that I've done, it's not 100% right all the time.
No.
It's just, it's just being a little bit right, but just continuing to move forward on it. So
yeah. A good example, a good example is any success, but artists, they didn't start out very good, and most of their famous paintings are 1% of what they actually went out and painted. Van Gogh, you only know a few of his paintings, but he painted thousands and thousands of stuff throughout his life. But that one just wasn't quite good enough, so then he does the next one. Well, that one's pretty good. Does the next one, no one really likes it, and just continues on.
And it probably wasn't even the quality or anything like that. It was just that for some reason, at the right time, the right person saw it and liked it or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not that any of the quality probably got better over time, no doubt about that. But it's probably more so just having the right, throwing out enough, having enough leads or making enough phone calls or knocking enough doors or whatever it is to do it. It's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do on quality. Well, there is an element of quality. There has to be a good value there.
But it's like you said.
But there's a lot that's just doing it.
Yeah. That college professor that got 4 wrong, you're totally right. That 5th one was probably the home run. He just didn't do it. Today, with me, is the day of stories that I don't know if are true or not. So I guess, I think it was Picasso. Someone walked in and they're like, "Why are you so famous?" And he was teaching a painting class or something at the time. And they're like, "You're not that good. Your paintings are not."
You're gonna tell that to Picasso to his face.
Yeah.
Which I kind of agree.
Yeah, I know. You look at it and you're like, this. Yeah. So, and he did some kind of abstract stuff, and he said, you can just shut the door on the way out. And he flicked his paintbrush, and she goes over and she goes to open the door, and she has paint on her hand because of how he flipped the paintbrush. He flipped paint onto there's no way this story's true. But flips the paint onto the doorknob, and then she walks out, and she's like, "Oh, he's a much better painter than I ever thought because he can flick a paintbrush onto a handle or whatever." But I don't even know where I was going with that story. It's probably not true, but I've heard
it. As far as the numbers game, one thought that I just had was I had a summer when I went out and sold security systems, and it was me and a group of friends. It was more like, hey, let's go out and hang out and have fun for a summer than actually, get something done. And but we went out, and they, the company or business or whatever, helps you hone your pitch and whatever, and that kind of thing. And like you could tell going out, if I approach 10 people with this today, then I'm probably going to get 1 or 2 sales, which looking back, and at the time I was, right out of high school and just not really into it. But looking at it now, I'm like, it's such an easy business. It's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
Just slug through the 8 people that tell you no and that you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And get to if you get to the 2 or 3 a day and you do that consistently for the summer, you make a great amount of money.
Yeah.
But, so we would, perfect our pitches or whatever and go do our thing and stuff. Well, I had this friend that was out there and we worked together quite a bit. And I thought I was, kind of getting it down a little bit in my pitch and stuff. And I was like, well, let's go. And he was having some good success. He was, getting 2 or 3 a day, whatever. And I was like, well, I want to come see what you're doing, So I'd go and tag along with him a couple times. All he was doing is he would go up, knock on the door. Hey, I'm selling a couple security systems on this street today. You want one? No? Okay, sounds good. Go to the next door. Hey,
Interesting.
I'm selling 2 security systems on this street today. You want one? Nope. Okay, sounds good. Boom, next door. Just like that. And I'm like, That's what you're saying? That's it? And he's
numbers game.
He's like, it's just numbers game. That's it. And so he wasn't even fancy or, and even the guys that were training us and stuff are like, You're crazy. That's not going to work. And it did. It was just a numbers game. He was just finding the people that wanted it anyway. There was 8 people that didn't want it. There was 2 people that wanted it. And he just had to find them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Who's the guy that owns Front Sight? He always message.
The Piazza guy. Yeah. There's actually a huge lawsuit against with that right now. Yeah, big time.
That sucks.
Like it's getting shut down, I shouldn't say that. He's like Spy Master Supreme. If we say anything, he might come on and try to sue us or something. So I might. But there is some stuff going on there. Yeah, go for it. He is quite the salesman for sure.
What is his name again? Piazza.
Yeah, something like
Dr.
that. Yeah,
something Ignatius.
Yeah,
Dr. Ignatius Piazza.
Yeah.
So he's a chiropractor, and that's how he got his start. And he was gonna set up shop in some place in California, and everyone's like, dude, you're crazy. Don't set up a shop there. Like, there's already tons of chiropractors. So before he even opened up his shop, he just took flyers around and went door to door. Hey, I'm going to open up a chiropractic shop. I'd love to see you as a customer. Here's a flyer. And he just did street after street after street. When he opened up, hugely successful.
Everybody already knew it was there.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, everyone goes, it's not going to work because there's so many chiropractors. Well, yeah, but none of those chiropractors marketed themselves.
Yeah.
So he goes out, passes out some flyers, becomes this massive chiropractor, opens up all these different businesses, and then apparently gets sued later on. So.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it, but there's, not good stuff. I think it is shutting down, which is unfortunate because I really I only went there once, but I enjoyed going there. It was good training, good people, that were trainers and stuff. But I don't know the whole story. I think it's still evolving. It's just come about like over the last month.
Oh, really?
But anyway, it's kind of, you look at even political, politician signs, probably more often than not, it's whoever has the most signs and billboards out gets voted for just from name recognition.
Absolutely.
They're and that's like Nancy Pelosi.
Not quality.
How does that? Yeah. How does she continually get elected? Well, because she's in the news all the time. They probably love all the negative press just because there's name recognition there.
It's kind of true. I mean, even from a business standpoint, there have been largely successful businesses that go, nope, don't try to keep this out of the news.
Yeah.
Like there is something about...
I mean, I don't want negative press for any of my businesses.
No, me either. And partly because I want to make sure that we're just adding positive value to everybody. Right. I don't want negative press because I don't want anything negative to ever happen.
Yeah.
I want it all to be positive.
Yep, for sure. But that name recognition, brand recognition, like there's something there. Well, like we were talking about earlier today, there's a company that we are starting, it's in the works right now, where we are looking at manufacturing and selling products. Well, you can find those products other places, but it's like, oh, well, that's the one that's made by this company. You know what I mean? Like the products are the same. It's the name and the brand that are different.
Yeah.
And kind of the movement, some companies do a really good job at creating a movement and kind of a slogan or a motto behind their thing. And so when you're buying one of their T-shirts or whatever, it's like you agree with that movement and that kind of stuff. And it's more than just a T-shirt with a name on it.
Yeah. Hey, you're a part of a tribe now. Mm-hmm. And that's something that humans, they strive for. They want to be part of that tribe. And as far as the manufacturing, I mean, there's, like let's say AR-15 lowers or uppers or barrels. People will ask quite often, like, hey, what should I get? I'm like, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all
everything's good. Place. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's just got different name stamps on it.
Just has different name stamps on it, yeah. Mm-hmm. But like you said, it's that movement behind it. It's that recognition. It's that name. This company is going to get more sales because they've done better at marketing.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah. Like it's when I think we talked yesterday about how there's no opportunity out there. Yeah, there is tons of opportunity out there. And even in industries where you think, well, it's oversaturated, there's some really big players in these industries and stuff. Well, if that's something you want to be involved in, you're probably going to do better than those big companies because you're coming at it from a different angle and a different level that they're not able to look at and they're not able to see. You know, there's a niche within that they're missing or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about 12 months to $1 million, that book. I mean, large companies will come in and buy very small companies because they can't service those niches.
Yeah.
You know, someone starts like bottle breachers, that guy, you know, he gets in, there's such a small niche that a large company wouldn't even know that niche would ever exist. Yet they come in, they do this little tiny thing, it takes off, they pull a little fraction of a market share from these big places, and then they get bought up. Niches are where it's at.
Yeah.
Or niches. I'm not sure which way
I don't know either.
Is
it French?
I don't know, but I'm from Idaho.
I was going to say, why do we use a French word for American business?
Yeah.
It should be I don't know, something different.
Niche.
It's a niche.
And it should be NITCH.
That's right.
Yep.
It's a niche.
Okay, when we write our little books, if we say niche, we're going to spell it niche.
They might mistake that for something, hillbilly. Go get me another niche. Something, I don't know. Something. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to come up with our own dictionary. No.
That'd be good. Mine would just be a bunch of blank pages. Have you seen that there's a book that's called like Everything That Men Know About Women or something like that, and it's just blank. That's all it is. And it sold millions of copies. Somebody came up with that as a joke.
That's awesome. I love people.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many opportunities, just creative things.
Unlined journal.
I think that the hard part is, I think everybody has good ideas or ideas that they're like, oh, like we talk about ideas all the time.
Yeah.
And ideas are good, but it's not the thing that makes success.
Absolutely.
Right? It's the next steps. It's like, I almost like sometimes when I get new ideas, I'm like, crap. I know that's really good, but I don't have the time or the energy or the focus right now to pursue that. But I know that's really good. And it's those next steps of taking action to move your idea forward. There's
probably a lot of success in what you just said, though, holding yourself back from some things. It's really easy to get overstretched. There's a book called The One Thing. And I mean, if you really look into self-development, when it comes down to it, it's your, what Napoleon Dynamite talk, Napoleon Hill.
He's like, hey, just thinking, I can't do a good Napoleon Dynamite voice.
Whatever.
Yeah. Just do it.
You're like 3 feet of air on that one. He talks about your definite chief aim. If you have one definite chief aim, or you're focusing on that one thing, it's almost impossible to fail. You're going to have little failures. They're just going to happen. But they're just a bump in the road. They're just a wall that you've got to climb over. That's all they are.
Yeah.
And so that one thing. So where I was going with that is there's a lot of success in knowing that one thing. And there's a lot of success in saying no. Like, saying no is really important. I'm really bad at saying no. I'm getting better and better.
Yeah, it is hard.
But being able to just say, oh, no, I'm sorry, I don't have the time for that. And then you're continuing to work on that one thing, you'll be successful.
Yeah. Yep. And it is a struggle, especially as an entrepreneur, because the entrepreneur mindset is kind of creative. I never used to think that I was that creative, but artistically and stuff like that, I'm not. But as far as ideas and that kind of thing,
absolutely,
I think that everybody is creative in that way.
Yeah.
And so it's hard having the entrepreneur mindset of always looking for opportunities and ideas, but then finding the one or two or three maybe that you're pursuing, and how to pursue them constructively and stuff.
Yeah. It is an art, though. I mean, think of Amazon having all of those pieces, and then putting them together in such a way that works as efficiently as they did. That is an art. Like, Jeff Bezos is an artist in the entrepreneurial, and then all of these these serial entrepreneurs that they start something and then they move on to this next thing and the next thing, and 10 of them are successes and only one is a failure. They're very artistic. Now, like, I'm entrepreneurial, but I can't sit down and paint anything. That's the worst part about being an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there is a lot that use that as an outlet, right?
Yeah.
It helps their mind to sit down and paint something that they can finish. Because as an entrepreneur too, it's hard because you never feel like you're quite finished. There's always something to do. It's not like, okay, like the job's done, I'm done wiping my hands and going home for the weekend. It's never that. Mm-hmm. And so I actually have heard of some entrepreneurs that find projects like painting or things like that they can do to sit down and start something and finish it, because otherwise you can go crazy, which I know how that is too.
Oh, I do too. I've tried journaling as an outlet, and I'm like, I get 2 minutes in and I'm like, I gotta do something.
Yeah, I'm kind of hard that way too.
Or I love to read, but I more love to listen. Mm-hmm. I'll buy these books. I'm like, I'm gonna read this book. And then I end up getting the audiobook.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I used to read a lot, but I found just as I've gotten busier with family and kids and stuff, I listen to a lot more. And I actually do think that I pick up a lot more listening than I do reading.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that's important to know for yourself. Are you a visual learner? Are you, is it Audible? Audible?
Yeah.
Audible.
I think that is right. Yeah,
hey, they picked a good name.
They stole it.
Visual, audible, kinesthetic. Like, how do you learn? Yeah. I do learn better by listening and seeing. So it's better that I do that than pick up a book and actually try to read it. Because in my mind, I'm going to be thinking about all the business stuff or all the stuff in my life as I'm trying to learn something in a book. It's way better that I'm driving and listening, or in a piece of equipment and trying to listen. I'm going to learn so much more. Yeah. Or hands-on. If I could learn... Well, you can learn business hands-on. I was about to say, if I could learn business hands-on.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is. Maybe we need to take up a painting class.
Yeah.
So that we can have projects that we start and finish.
That probably would be really good. Well, we know a guy. Right? John Splatter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. We should. There we go. We can go over to
I think they have some.
Do they call it a studio? Is their store like a studio or just a store? Or?
Yeah. And I know, too, in Idaho Falls, there's like painting classes. You go down and like paint a vase or something.
Have you seen like those coloring books? Like there's adult coloring books that are
Kira and I have actually done them together.
I've seen those. I think Breezy's maybe had some, and I'm like, I probably would enjoy that, but I haven't done it.
Yeah, it's actually kind of fun. You sit down, like, it was so cute. We haven't done it in a while, but you sit down. She does half the page, and I do half the page.
Oh, that's cool.
Hers looks so much better than mine.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great idea, though.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that is good.
And they sell them everywhere now. You can get them at Walmart if you want to support big communist businesses.
They say that, they say that it like reduces anxiety and stuff, but I don't know if it would do that for me or not. I don't know.
Nothing reduces entrepreneurial anxiety. No, I'm just kidding. No, there's a lot of things like that, and I think it's learning what does it for you. Mm-hmm. It really helps me to put my phone in the other room and watch a movie. Like, for me, that's really good, because then I'm completely engaged in it. I'm not thinking like, oh, I need to make a post for the rock wall, or I need to do this or that. Like, I don't know. It's probably not very productive in any way, but it's so good for my mind.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't do that. Like, we'll have some, like, if we can find a series that I can get into, then we can. But it drives Breezy. She's like, hey, let's watch something tonight. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I like look through it. I'm like, look through Netflix. I don't want to watch any of that. I'll go listen to my book or something, Yeah. For me, it's like competition stuff, like running races, or like when we went to the tactical games, like when it's like the whistle blows and it's go time, like I get to where I can't focus on anything else besides that, which is actually really good.
Yeah. That's cool.
So I found that that's a good outlet. Like I ran a long race. It took a long time here a couple weeks ago, and I kept trying to think, like I thought, well, when I'm running, I can just, I can think through some of these problems and ideas in my mind, and I couldn't do that. Like I was just focused on that, and it was helpful. It was a good thing.
So you didn't listen to anything or anything, like you just ran it.
So I only had my phone.
Yeah.
And so I listened to a podcast for about an hour, and then my phone was dead.
Oh no.
Because it's old and falling apart and doesn't hold a good charge.
Yeah.
Which was actually great. Like it was just completely focused on my painful knees, but just the task at hand, which was, in hindsight looking back, I was like, that was actually really good that I just was focused on that, doing that. And I noticed the same thing at the tactical games. Like I didn't have to think about other stuff. So I think that's one thing that I found that helps with that kind of stuff.
How long was that run at the tactical games? Just a couple of miles?
I think it was a mile and a half.
Mile and a half. Well, it felt like a couple. It felt like more to me.
It was up and down, and
it was.
It was.
But see, I couldn't really just. I need to be better. I need to like actually force myself to meditate and read books and stuff. Because I took my phone, I went to Spotify, I went to a playlist that I wanted, and I stuck it in my vest so I could just listen to it the whole time. And I even was thinking while I was running, I was like, "What? I should just be able to run without."
I usually do when I run. Usually, 99% of the time, I'm listening to something, or it does get my brain going. But for some reason, like with competition and not just fun run, like. And not even that I'm competing with anybody else. I know there's a clock going or something, It's not just out running for fun. For some reason, it's been doing it for me. We'll see if it keeps doing it, but it is fun.
Yeah. Well, it's important to find stuff like that allows your mind, because it's just so much overstimulation between, I say movies, but between movies and series and phones and Instagram and radio and everything, we never
text messages and emails and all of that.
Yeah, I gave up an Apple Watch maybe a year and a half ago. It's one of the best things I ever did.
Yeah,
I mean it's text messages at your wrist. You can never stop looking at what's going on, and it can't be good for us. Yeah, in the long run.
I've tried to leave my phone, when I'm doing certain stuff or whatever, leave it away, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's tough. I gave up Instagram and TikTok and stuff for a week. But it was really good because I didn't tell myself I can't do it. I just kind of stopped doing it. Yeah. And then now you kind of can scroll through and I can just temper it a little bit. But it's pretty easy to get addicted to crap.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah,
especially TikTok and flat Earth videos. No,
see, I've never even downloaded TikTok, but even the Instagram Reels, which I think is similar, right? Yeah. I mean, gee whiz, you can burn a lot of time just watching that crap, and there is some value there though. Like there's entertainment value, or I even find stuff too that's like utility. I'm like, oh, that's a cool trick. I never even thought about that. Yes. But 75-80% of it's just garbage, or whatever. But there is some good stuff on there.
Our friend Brady, this is actually why I kind of stopped for a little while. He's like, hey, we should give it up for a while and just see what happens. I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. Bet he sent me 20 TikTok videos during this week and a half that we're not supposed to be doing it. I never opened any of them. And then I opened them up the other day. I was like, these are great. They're just, people are so clever. And that's what's cool about it. I mean, bringing it full circle into business, people make a great living making reels or making TikTok videos or painting or being a mechanic, or it's all business. And if you can add value, you can make money. Yeah. It's cool.
And it decentralizes everything. Yeah. Somebody wants to be an actor. Yep. But they know they're not going to go to Hollywood and be an actor on there. Great. Make 3-minute awesome YouTube clips or whatever. Yeah. And there's lots of people that do that. Yeah. And it's really cool to see all of that kind of angle from it, that anybody can do whatever they want now. Yeah. If they just put some time and effort into it.
Yeah. And that's where also a niche comes way, way into play, because there's these just crazy focused areas. It could be, there's this guy that I don't I don't do bodybuilding, but I'm very amazed by bodybuilders and what they can do. I like kind of the functional fitness sort of things. But there's this guy that I follow on Instagram, and he just makes these really funny bodybuilding gym videos. And I mean, I don't know if he makes a ton of money at it or whatever. I would imagine he's got a lot of sponsors and does do really well. But it's such a small niche. Like, if my mom saw the video, she'd be like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, why would you ever take your time out of your day to watch that? I love when he pops up, you can get the notifications from people. When he posts something new, it pops up on my phone because I want to watch it.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's so niche. I don't even do what he does. And it's just great.
Yeah. It's cool to see. Yeah, it is. It's opportunity everywhere. Like we talk about all the time. It's just being a little bit creative. And I think that's, I never really knew what, like when I had like a normal job or whatever, it kind of drove me crazy, in a way. Like, it was great opportunity, great people. But like, just, I had a hard time with the routine of it all, which sounds weird because because I feel like I have a routine now anyway, but on any given day, I'm not doing the same things. I might be in a meeting, I might be working on a property, I might be, calling on, something. Like, there's just a lot of different things that I'm doing all the time, and you're the same way. Yeah. And to me, I just love it. Like, every day, like, wake up and, okay, I got all this stuff to do today, and that's great because I can do it at my own pace. I can get as much done as I want to. I get to do a bunch of different things, and it's cool. Like, it's something that I think that's the most appealing part of business and entrepreneurship to me, is being able to have a bunch of different things to do. That creative kind of busyness mind and going from one project to the next and that kind of stuff. Yeah. It helps that instead of being in the same kind of routine things day to day.
Yeah. And if someone likes having a job, you can create your own job. You could still say, I'm going to be in the office from 9 to 5 every single day.
Yep. And there's lots of guys that do.
Exactly.
Yep. That own their own businesses for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's something for everybody. We've talked about that before. You can mold it however you want. If you want a lot of routine, you can. If you want to kind of have you change your own schedule and do different things throughout the day, you can do that too. As long as you're adding value and you know where you're adding value and how you're adding value and you're doing it constructively and in a good way, then you can mold it however you want. Yeah. It's cool.
It's almost like you can do and be anything you want to be in life.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I like it.
Total mind.
But you can.
Yeah.
And it's a cliche we, hear all the time growing up and stuff, but you can.
Yeah. It's
for
just
the most part.
It's mindset. We're not taught mindset. We're not taught. When we were kind of talking about school earlier and everything, we're not taught mindset in school. When did we take a class that they're like, all right, we're going to meditate today. We're going to control our mind today. We're going to challenge ourselves today. No, we never learned that. But you can. You can get out and learn it right now. You go out and fail.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Go out and fail. Fail as many times as you possibly can, and you'll become a success.
Yep. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Just that education, and it's not where talking of decentralization, like education's decentralized too now,
Yeah.
And so we talk about personal development and that kind of stuff. That's not, some people think it's hokey, but it's not. It's just education, but it's different education than is maybe the societal norm or whatever, but there's lots of outlets for it.
How many times did you bring a patient to the ER? Well, I'm going to make this sound like it's a lot. It was not a lot for me, but how many times did you take a patient to the ER that had a problem and the ER doctor YouTubed how to fix it?
So I don't know as far as me bringing them there, but when I did clinicals, probably every patient in one form. I mean, simple stuff, they knew what it was, but and I don't know if it was YouTube. But there's like an actual Google for doctors that they can kind of engine search, right? I don't know. I guess I don't know, but
a couple traumas that I brought in, And I brought him in and then watched the doctor YouTube how to fix it.
Really?
Now, I don't know if they were just like kind of brushing up on it or what it was, but it was like, oh, that knee is displaced in this certain way. You know, okay, so YouTube. You're like, what? This ER doctor's YouTubing how to do this?
Uh-huh.
I mean, this is not to take anything away from ER doctors in any way. Yeah. Like, they've probably put in 1,000 knees, and he was just kind of like, hey, I'm going to look up a YouTube.
All of our ER doctors that we worked with are excellent. Like,
yes.
we really liked all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
I took my kids up there to get worked on by them when we had an emergency.
Yeah, they're good.
But still.
It's just really interesting that you take, no one sees this in the background, but there's a doctor YouTubing how to put a knee back in. You're like, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, total decentral.
And there's kind of some you have to maybe know some right terminology.
Yeah.
And maybe have some even licensing, I guess, to be in the situation where you can do that.
Yeah.
But there is a lot to be said that there's a lot of things you can learn on your own.
Yeah. Well, and I guess at some point, when you're a doctor, you are practicing medicine. You're able to actually practice. So, we had certain rules that, you couldn't YouTube how to fix a knee and try to put it back in. And we would just stabilize it and give them some pain medications and, get them where they need to be. But
well, and rightly so. Like, I think that should be taught in schools too, is here's the resources and here's where to find the answers. Yep. Instead of, here's a test, you have to get every single one of these things correct or else you're dumb.
Yep.
That's not how it works in the real world. You're constant, like business stuff. I'm Googling stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how to solve problems and stuff. And that's fine. So let's teach that in schools too, and teach that to our kids that, hey, you're not going to know everything. You're probably not going to know most of the things that you need to do. But here's a way and here's a source where you can go for answers and that kind of stuff. I don't know.
No, you're totally right. Our kids left for a week with their grandparents, with Kira's parents, and they got back, and their homework was ridiculous. They knew how to do everything in their homework. Like, it wasn't a learning issue. It was a 90 packets issue. Yeah. Not 90, but they just have to do just busy work. Just busy work. And our oldest, he's like, I hate this. Can I just be homeschooled and I learn things? Because I'm not learning anything.
Yeah.
And then I have to justify in my mind why we're actually putting them through school, because I kind of agree with them. And it's nothing against teachers and it's nothing against the administrators. It's just the system that's set up. The system is set up in a way that they're just kicking out employees.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Our kids struggle with the same kind of things, and it's interesting. But moral of the story, educate yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
There's lots of resources out there.
Yep. Oh, so many. It's cool.
Yeah.
YouTube's great. You just have to make sure that you're learning it from the right people on YouTube. But you can learn anything you want on YouTube. You could probably get a Harvard-level doctorate on YouTube if you're getting it from the right places, which should be up to us to figure out if it's the right place. It's not a centralized entity.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, it's incredible the amount of information we have now, and we take it for granted. We take it for granted big time.
Yeah. So back in the day, was it Alexander the Great? His dad had him learn from Plato. I'm pretty sure.
I have no idea.
I hope that's right. I think Alexander the Great's dad had him learn from Plato himself. Back in the day, you had to be super rich, and your dad had to be a king so that they could send you to a philosopher to get all of the
mentored
the stuff from the Library of Alexandria. Now we can get it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a big deal. Yet we're probably intellectually, or maybe it's philosophically, I don't know, maybe it's all of them. We're just, as a society, we're not great.
Yeah.
Yet we have all the information that we'd ever want just at our fingertips.
Well, and probably because I'm choosing to look at reels instead of listening.
That's very true.
Back to choice. There's some choices there. But very true. You know, there's incredible amounts of information available. And so I think it comes down to educate yourself, but then maybe even going further into the moral of the story is educate yourself, but then take action too.
Yeah.
Because even though we have all the education, maybe we're being lazy about taking actions towards that goal or that business or that lifestyle we want. I don't know.
No,
but, there's a link there too between, we all know people that have a lot of book smarts and think that they're really smart, and they are really smart. But when it comes to implementing ideas and moving forward towards a goal or an objective, they don't, and they can't, and they don't know how to do that. And so there's kind of two parts there.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah, that action. That's what I'm going to take from today. Is action.
Take action.
You got to get out and do it. Fail forward.
Fail. Yeah. Yep.
I like it.
So, cool.
We'll end it there.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
And pretty soon we've got a little book, mindset book, that's going to come out. I just need to edit it.
It's great. Yeah.
Grammarly. You ever heard of that? There's another business that someone started. Mm-hmm. It's really cool, but it really shows me how many flaws I have in writing. There's like 852 things that I need to fix. Oh. So once I fix those, we can go with it.
Well, I think that's standard for it. Like I was listening to, who was it? Oh, it's that Soundtracks book. I keep talking about that, but she and I haven't listened to it for a bit. But in there, he talks about an author that he knew that wrote her first book, sent it to the editor, got it sent back, and there were so many red marks on it that it was like depressing to her.
Yeah.
And so she asked the editor from then on to mark everything in green. And so now she feels like she's growing when the editing comes back because it's all in green instead of red.
That's cool.
So it's kind of a cool story.
Yeah, I like that a lot because it's true, man. You put that thing into Grammarly and it's like it's all red. It really is. And maybe that's because I dropped out of college. I don't know, but it's pretty crazy. I like that. I wonder if you could put in a little request to Grammarly. Can you do this all in green, please?
Do it all in green.
It's really cool. It's color coded. There's blue, there's red, there's green, and it just depends on what you've done wrong.
I'll check it out.
And I don't use commas apparently.
Yeah, I know that my grammar is terrible. So I don't even capitalize my I's in my text messages most of the time.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Why
setting.
take the time to do that? Your phone should do it for you.
I know, and for some, I don't know. It's probably just a setting on there, but I haven't even I'm too lazy to even do that.
A long time ago, somehow in my phone, it got set up to where if it said a rock wall, because our first business was a rock climbing wall. It was just a wall. Mm-hmm. It was a capitalized R with an exclamation point at the end of rock wall. And still to this day, when I say rock wall into my phone, and this is this is many, many phones ago, so I don't know how this all works. I don't know if it's hooked up in like Gmail or something like that, but it will capitalize the R and put an exclamation point on it.
Do you yell it into your phone every time?
Rock wall! Maybe that's why. Just so interesting. Huh. So, action. That's what I'm going to take.
Take action.
Okay.
Try it.
All right, we'll see you soon.
See ya.